warmer.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be warmer tomorrow.
I'm not complaining. This week has been magical compared to what we've been having so far. And we haven't had as much snow, which last week we just got hammered with over and over again. You guys got more ice down here, I think, than we did. But
I'd rather have snow than ice.
what's that?
I'd rather have snow than ice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd rather be done with winter.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a given.
I'm ready to be done. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. How are you? Great. That says it all. That's the response from Nick back there. How goes it? How go your lead generation efforts, appointments, working with clients, etc.? Any good stories, success stories, any wins out there? I know there are some wins out there.
I just picked up, it's not real estate, but it kind of is, a franchise that wants to sell.
Cool.
So that's exciting. That was this morning. And then last night, 2 people who want to take up large office or large buildings.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty awesome. Fantastic. Anybody else? Anybody struggling with something? They have something that you need a little help with, have some questions about, etc. Jacob, any wins, any good success stories? Besides what you're telling me about this morning?
Maybe I got another guy that's gonna call me back later. He said he's in the middle of something, but you never know how that goes.
Any
Okay.
random text messages?
Huh?
Any random text messages? You're the one who sent out the random text message, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No more of those.
No.
He's had some more interesting text messages as of late, but we won't do that because we're being recorded right now. You got some interesting responses back from the lead. Let's put it that way. You can tell us a break. Yeah, right. Good news is he might have some, prospects for his dating life. But
Oh.
yeah, right.
Oh.
There you go. You get to teach class, Jacob.
That's another class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. First session we're going to talk about is lead conversion. I can't stress enough how critical lead conversion is. We talked about leads and scripts and all this fun stuff, our database, etc. If you're not making the actual conversion of leads a focus, if you're not building that as a skill set, then you're kind of shortchanging yourself. When I got really focused and deadly about lead conversion, that's really what helped spike my personal business. Anytime I'm having a conversation with somebody, a prospective buyer or seller, the entire conversation is aimed, or I'm keying it up to convert them to an actual appointment. So I can convert them to a client, right? The first part of conversion is getting the appointment. And then at the appointment, the second part of conversion is getting a contract signed or locking them down as a client, right? So make that your focus. Don't be afraid to do it. We've got some great scripts and stuff in here today that we'll go through. But just know that you need to make that a focus and you need to build up that skill so you're deadly at it. Page 6, Gene Rivers, a high-producing agent out of Florida, says the real issue is that you must get appointments. We all know that 3/4 of sellers only talk to one agent before they list their home, and 65% of buyers work with the first agent they have significant contact with. So the real estate business is truly about getting appointments. Because here's the secret: if you get an appointment with somebody, if you get in front of them, you have a very high likelihood of actually doing business with them and picking them up as a client. So don't be the stereotypical agent that has a bunch of surface level conversations but's too afraid to ask for the appointment and never locks anybody down. Make that your sole focus. We're going to have an appointment. And at the appointment, we're going to set the expectation that we're going to work together, and here's how working together is going to benefit you. Page 7. What is lead conversion? One of the difficulties about lead conversion is sometimes it means different things to different people. What does it mean? What is a lead? How would you define a lead, out of curiosity? There's no right or wrong answer, by the way.
A beating heart.
Yeah, somebody with a pulse. Everybody in the world is a lead. Okay, there's some truth to that. But if I said to you, hey, Debbie, how many leads did you get this weekend? If I asked that question to any of you in this room, hey, how many leads did you get this week, or how many leads did you get this week? What criteria would you utilize to say, yeah, I would consider this a lead?
I would say having a need in the next year, commercial or residential.
Okay, a real estate need within the next year. Anybody else have any other criteria that you utilize?
Any need.
Any need?
Well, like to buy or sell it.
Any real estate related
A
need?
dating need.
Yeah, you're not as concerned about the timeline?
No.
Okay. Anybody else, any thoughts on it? Gary Keller says a lead is somebody who's ready, willing, and able to do business now. That's kind of his definition. It's the last sentence of the first paragraph. In this session, we're going to focus on getting appointments with people who are ready, willing, and able to buy or sell real estate now. Either people you newly met or ones that you'll be contacting over the long term. We'll also cover questions to pre-qualify your leads for buyer and seller consultations. Knowing something about your lead will help you conduct a more effective consultation, which in turn will help you get more listing agreements and buyer representation agreements signed. So really, you know, if you're going to qualify something, so I think of it as a difference between a lead and a prospect, right? For me, a prospect is maybe I had a great conversation, maybe it's going to lead to something at some point, but I'm not really gauging them as an actual lead that I'm going to have a hyper focus on, because that might turn into something. I don't know if there's true motivation there. I don't know what the timeline is quite yet. Versus a lead, somebody's like, hey, yes, I'm ready to do this now. In the near future, we're talking, in my opinion, 2, 3 to 4 months. You are a lead. I need to come lock you down, because if you're going to close on a property in 3 months, what does that mean right now? We need to start the process. Any questions or comments on that? Page 9, get to know your leads. Be personable. You are auditioning for the chance to be a representative for your home buyers and sellers. You have to gauge their personality and match it. This comes easier to some people than it does others. Whether you are conversing by phone or in person, come on in, Leanne, how are you? You want to gather as much information from your contacts as possible. You can use a lead sheet to remind you of questions of what to ask. If you work from a list of questions, be sure to keep the experience as individualized as possible to the person. Remember, it's a conversation, not an inquisition. Often how you ask using a conversation style is just as important as what you ask. Because let's be real. Let's say you're having a consultation or a meeting with a complete stranger. You don't really know them yet. You've only had just a few minutes to build rapport, and you're going to start asking them questions about their financial situation. You think that's sometimes easy for people? You think sometimes they're maybe a little hesitant about that? Hey, I don't really know you yet. So, you know, the way in which you ask those questions can sometimes make all the difference. You know, well, hey, Debbie, it's great to meet you. Thanks for coming in today. You know, what are you looking to spend? That's how some people ask it. That's okay. Versus, hey, Debbie, thanks for coming in. It's great to meet you. Blah, 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 blah. We're going to do a little bit of a buyer consultation. Have you come up with a budget yet? Is there a certain price you're hoping to stay at or below? Just a difference in the way I ask that question. One can cause someone to tense up and be anxious. The other one can completely disarm them, and it's very conversational. That, by the way, is how I ask the question. Hey, do you have a number in mind, a price you're looking to stay at or below?
Or your comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's always a question that I
talk to the mortgage broker.
Yeah, the term that I utilize is we want to keep you within your financial comfort zone, just like you said. We want to keep you within your financial comfort zone. That's what I tell people. But when you ask it that way versus, okay, well, how much are you looking to spend? Whoa, dude.
I got that question when I walked into a car dealer one day. Second question. How much you got?
Right.
Oh, $1.
I see how this is going to be. Right. So you got because a lot of people, if we were to dig in deep and say, hey, you know, what are some issues you've had with realtors in the past or real estate professionals? And I know this because our most recent closing, the gal said, hey, I graduated high school with an agent, and he and I had been talking for the last couple of years, and I also knew you guys, and we had a consultation with her. And when we closed, she said the reason that we wanted to work with you guys is because the other guy, he thought we could qualify for more, so he kept pushing us to spend more on the home, and you guys never did. We told you what our budget was, what our financial comfort zone was, and that's where you guys stayed. And I was like, there is a method to our madness. Right? I was like, exactly. And people, you will turn people off if that's the approach that you take. So just ask them, hey, what is it you're looking to do? What's your budget? Awesome. But if it's an unrealistic budget, then you can have that conversation on the front end. Hey, Nick, here's the deal. I know you want to buy a single family here in Rochester for $150. I got to tell you, at that price point, we might be looking at townhomes. If you truly want a single family home here in Rochester, we're probably going to need to be, close to the 200,000 price point with as competitive as it is. That being said, if you've only got that 150, maybe we look further out from Rochester. We might be able to find some luck there, right? That's setting an expectation from the beginning instead of just saying, okay, yeah, we can do it, thinking that, oh yeah, I'll just help them push up their price point, down the road. People aren't stupid. They'll realize what you're doing and you might turn them off. Okay, anything else on that? Whether you're conversing by phone or in person, you want to gather as much information from your contacts as possible. You can use a lead sheet to remind you. I think I already read that part. Don't be too formal. Be friendly, be relaxed. Essentially, you want to be approachable to try to build rapport. If you're just rapid fire machine gunning them, questions, that's going to be a little bit tricky. This is how it sounds when I take a phone call. A very cursory, it's a complete stranger phone call. They have some interest in real estate. It sounds a little bit like this. Okay, so Bob, I'm going to call you. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, this is Bob.
Yes.
Hey, Bob, this is Zach Keller Williams. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, I'm reaching out because it sounds like you might be interested in buying a home sometime in the near future. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Bob, tell me, what is it that you're looking for in a home?
3-bedroom, main floor, the garage.
Okay, awesome. And Bob, do you already have some areas or some cities in mind that you're interested in?
Rochester.
Okay, perfect. And do you also have a price in mind that you'd like to stay at or below in terms of a home?
180 to 200.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, Bob, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to offer you a chance to come into the office. We'll have a no obligation, no hassle consultation. I'll answer any questions you have, kind of tell you what's going on in the market, and really help you formulate a game plan that will allow you to be successful. Would that be helpful for you? Sure. Awesome. Come on down. Very, very conversational. Nick, do you have a question?
Objection-wise, how do you handle that? So he
So-
says, I'm not really interested, Zach. I'm not sure if I'm ready.
For a consultation?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's play that out, Bob. So say it. So Bob, come on in.
Well, I don't know if I'm ready for a consultation or to meet with anybody yet.
Okay, sure. That's fair enough. Bob, let me ask you this. What kind of timeline do you have in mind?
6 months to a year.
Okay. Well, one thing that many buyers have found helpful, even if it's 6 months to a year down the road, is to come on in for a consultation simply to find out what the market's doing, have your questions answered, and to help you, come up with a game plan that, 6 months to a year from now will help you get into that property that might work out for you. So would that be helpful? Sure. Okay. I'll try it again. Bob was nice. But really, I'm just going to highlight and say, hey, here's the deal. And maybe I'll reemphasize it's no pressure, no obligation type of a thing. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if they don't want to, that's fine. I'll say, okay, great, here's the deal. I'm going to keep sending you properties. I'll check in every so often. Hopefully that's okay. And if anything comes up in the meantime, simply give me a call or shoot me a text and let me know. Here to help you. Right?
I have that fear of asking to sign something. It's that or that. I think they're thinking that I'm going to ask them to sign something in their fear.
Yeah. So you just
That's
answered
my
your own question. That's you putting that on yourself.
Yeah.
And Nick, I can say that to you because I had the same thing. 4 years ago, that was my mentality. My mentality was at my previous company, I didn't know what a buyer rep contract was. I thought it was something you had to get signed at the time of the purchase agreement. I didn't know that you were supposed to do that far in advance. And honestly, most agents don't, and most agents don't do it that way. Did you know that at your previous company?
No.
He had no idea, and he came from Remax.
Oh dear.
They're the best, right? I'm having a little bit of fun with this. I know this is being recorded. I have great respect for all companies, but he came from our next biggest competitor, which is now number 2 to us, and they weren't taught that. Right? If that's not eye-opening, I don't know what is. And somehow he's still finding success. It's because Jacob's a hustler. All right. But until I knew about that process and really understood it, my drunk monkey was that nobody will ever go for that. There's no way I'm going to meet a stranger. First off, there's no way I'm going to be able to, on the phone, convince a stranger to come meet me in my office. Okay, I've proven that wrong. I do that regularly. I don't even give it a second thought now. And oh, by the way, if the stranger comes into the office, there's no way I'm going to be able to get them to sign an agreement to work with me, having just met me. If anything, someone's going to slap me in the face for trying to do that. Well, after 3 years of solid performance, I think you can count on one hand the amount of people that said, well, let's just take the paperwork and we'll think about it. And of those people, half of them signed anyway. It can be done. It's about your approach and your scripts and how you're going about it. It's, are you demonstrating enough value to get them to buy in and want to work with you? Right? That's what it's all about. I appreciate that question, Nick. Thank you. The bottom of page 9 talks about understanding behavior profiles a little bit. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail there. You can utilize the DISC or the principles of the DISC, which if you flip the page to page 10, we'll give you a quick breakdown and summary of the DISC and the different personality types. I, influencers, or your high energy kind of social butterfly people. D, dominant, more direct person. They're just straight to the point. You have your S's and your C's, which are they're somewhat similar, that they're a little bit more reserved, a little bit more calm. Your S's tend to be a little bit more warm, and your C's are a little bit more matter of fact. They're your accountants, engineers, very detail oriented. So if you can get a quick study or a quick read on the personality style, that might be helpful for you when you're interacting with them, because you can remind yourself. Like if someone I know is a high D, I'll be very candid, frank, and direct with them. And I love that. I'm not a D myself, but I love that because it usually means it's very fast, right? If someone's a high D, we have to have a conversation. Hey, Jake, here's the deal. Is that calling you? I just got to let you know, don't freak out on me. But the appraisal came back a little bit low, 3,000 low. We've already kicked it back to the buyer, told them they have to make up the difference. I'll let you know when we get a response. ID is going to say, Zach, you're fired. No, just kidding. They're going to say, hey, okay, gotcha. I'm tracking. Let me know what happens. Is there anything else I need to be worried about? Nope, I'll let you know. Versus a high I might call and say, I'm going to use Nick as an example because Nick is a high I. Like, hey, Nick, this is Zach. How you doing? Hey, I don't want you to get too worried right now, but I got to let you know the appraisal came back a little bit low. It's not the end of the world. We're going to be able to fix it and solve it. We've already started doing this, that, or the other. Do you have any questions about it? And so Nick, being a high I, he might have a few more questions. We might have to get into a little more detail. If I call it a C, I better know the amount, be able to maybe even submit the appraisal report, all kinds of fun stuff, right? So just know your different personality types. That's very helpful in interacting with them. Oh, by the way, this could be helpful information when you're interacting with your co-op agent, right? And here's what I learned. You know how I learned this? I learned this interacting with Bruce DeMail. Have you ever communicated with Bruce via email? He's straight to the point. And if you don't know Bruce, sometimes you're like, oh, is Bruce mad at me? Bruce, I hope you're watching this. I love you, man. I'm saying this because you have to know the personality. Like when I get emails from Bruce, or when I would, especially when he was in the broker role, I would just have to remind myself, no, this is how Bruce communicates. There's nothing else behind this. There's nothing else nothing to read between the lines on. He's just, hey, matter of fact, this is what it is. And then I'd go to find him to talk to him in person about it. He'd be, as warm and lighthearted as ever. So knowing email can be dangerous, and that can happen when you're communicating with clients and other agents. Just remind yourself, what's their personality style? Don't make assumptions. Don't let your imagination run wild, because it's always going to go to the negative. If there's ever any sort of doubt or room for interpretation, make a phone call. Make a phone call, get them on the phone and talk to them that way. And if I get a fiery email from people, sometimes the first thing I do is call them, because they're almost never fiery on the phone, and they almost immediately regret the email that they sent. And usually the first thing they do is apologize, right? So remind yourself of that too before you fire off that email, right? Okay. I don't know what took me down that road, but. Page 11, Diana Kokoska says, build rapport. You can use the FORD acronym if you'd like: family, occupation, recreation, dreams. If you want to start conversations and chat with people, try to connect on a more personal level, that's helpful. I would typically love talking, what's their job, because that kind of is interesting to me, knowing what people do, because that's information I filter in the back of my head, because that might be useful for me down the road. If I know somebody's in a certain profession and I've got something going on, I might call them and say, hey, I know you work in this profession. Could you tell me about this, or this, right? And then I also like to know about their family. The other stuff, I don't typically talk about as much. But, hey, what do you do for work? What's your family? What's going on with your family? Maybe we'll get into some interests or some hobbies. But, people always ask me, or not people don't always ask me, but every once in a while you'll be doing a survey or something. What are your interests in your hobbies? And I'm always like, I don't know. Like when I think I work and I have my family. That's kind of like, I like to watch movies when I have a chance. Now it takes me about 5 days, 20 minutes at a time to watch a movie, because in between I got kids crying and diaper changes and Jacob's phone calling me about an offer. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just teaching. I used to like to read books, but now if I go to read a book, I fall asleep. I'm just joking. But no, connect with people. What are your common hobbies and interests? Because common hobbies and interests can be a great way to build a database or a referral network with people. So keep that in mind. I'm going to read this excerpt about she always asked about a person's occupation. This is Diana on page 11. She used that knowledge to create a scenario that her lead could relate to. Diana often found it necessary to help her potential customers understand the value of her experience and expertise. For example, Diana recalls a time when she was trying to get an appointment with a policeman who had a friend that was new to the business. And she basically said to him, here's the deal. If you're going to get into a shootout, who would you rather have by your side? A brand new rookie or another seasoned veteran officer who has been in 200 shootouts and knows exactly what to do? And the guy said to her, well, when I'm selling my house, my life's not on the line. And she said, yeah, but your financial future is. Boom, drop the mic. Diana's good. Then you sign the contract and work with her, right? So using that knowledge of their occupation or interests can help you relate to them and help you communicate business scenarios or situations to them in a way that makes it a little bit more relatable or easier to understand. Page 13, tips for getting an appointment. The problem is not just getting the lead. The big question is, what are you going to do with it? Your conversion ratio is a critical part of your success in business. The tips are, and then we'll go into them in more detail, asking for the appointment, being an expert in your market, be confident in your ability, have a list of questions and ask them, listen, come from contribution, begin with the ending in mind, seek agreement, respond quickly, and communicate in person. Page 14. Once you believe it's okay to ask for what you want, you will have a chance of getting it, says Gary. Number one, asking for the appointment. This may seem obvious, but you have to ask for it. Beyond that, as Gary Keller says, you must ask directly, not indirectly or casually. That second sentence right there is crucial. And that's something I've had to tell myself, because before, when I would operate a little bit less, with less purpose, with maybe more assumptive, optimistic expectations that, hey, if I have a great conversation with Heather, of course she's going to want to use me as her agent. I might not come out and ask, hey, Leanne, it was great to meet you today. Thank you for coming to my open house. By the way, if you're looking to hire an agent to help you buy a home, I'd love to apply for the job. Good Lord, your hands are cold. I'm just teasing you. But it says you must ask directly, not indirectly or casually, and you can't leave it up to mere assumption. There's nothing wrong. Was there anything wrong with what I just asked her and how I asked it? No, quite frankly, it was actually very professional. And that's going to strike a chord with people, right? Hey, Debbie, it was great to meet you. Before you leave today, I want to let you know if there's ever an opportunity to do business with you, I'd really like to do so. Please keep me in mind. Is that direct? Is it professional? Was it easy to do? Did I freak you out? No. Maybe because I came close to you? No, I'm just kidding. If you do that with enough people over time, and then, oh, by the way, you got them in your database and you're systematically marketing to them, that's how you see your business grow and build momentum. But you can't be afraid to do it, and you have to be purposeful about it. You have to be focused.
So how do you get them to sign in at the open house?
I don't believe in the forced registration. And I'm okay with people that do, but this is what I do, Jake, when you first walk in, okay? I'm standing in the kitchen, or I'm looking out the window creeping, but pretending not to creep. There's somebody coming up here, I can't tell, right? So you'll walk in and say, hey there, how are you? I'm Zach.
How you doing?
What's your name?
I'm Jake.
Jake, good to meet you. Here's a flyer with some information about the property. It's got a bunch of information about it on there. I'll be around. Feel free to have a look around the property. If you have questions, I'll be right over here. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in today. Then I'm going to position myself somewhere else in the home where they have to walk past me. And then once you do that, I'm going to say, so Jake, how long have you been looking?
About 3 months.
Okay, awesome. Have you seen a lot of homes?
Not really.
Okay. And how are you finding out about the homes that you go to see?
On Zillow.
Okay.
Trulia.
Okay, cool. Awesome. What cities are you interested in?
Rochester, Stewartville.
Okay, very good. And have you already been through the pre-approval process? Do you kind of have the price in mind that you're looking to stay at or below?
Not yet, no.
Okay, perfect. Well, Jake, here's what I'd love to do. Getting pre-approved is going to be your first big step toward becoming a homeowner. I happen to work with several great lenders who can help you with that process. There's some information about that. Would that be helpful for you if I provided it to you?
Yeah.
Awesome, great. Here's what I need from you, Jake. If you could just go ahead and write your phone number and email address right here, I can get that information to you immediately. That's how I get the contact information. Because if I force Jacob to register, number one, he might not do it. Number two, he's like, what is this? You're gonna force me to register. Number three, he's gonna come up with some BS number or email, or he's gonna do what I do, which is write so edgibly you can't even tell what I wrote anyway. Right?
You're such a stinker.
That's what I do. Right? Or I'll have some fun. So anytime I go through an open house, when I register, I write Leanne's phone number.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. Now, do you think that I might have a better chance at actually doing some business with Jacob the way I went about that? Yeah. All I did is ask a couple questions. It's very non-threatening, and then I ninja tricked you because I said, "Would that be helpful for you?" You said, "Yes, great. I need your contact information to send it to you."
So you position yourself while they're still walking through the
Yeah,
property?
I usually go right back. I usually go to the kitchen. At some point, they're gonna want to check out the kitchen, and they might come back and see me again. Or I'll leave and get away from them for a few minutes, so they can look around, be disarmed. Know that I'm not gonna follow them around and creep on them. And then once I've had a few minutes to do that, I'll make casual conversation. And you notice, what other question did I ask you to kind of see sneakily if you had an agent yet or not? How have you been finding out about the homes, and what did you tell me?
So,
You told me exactly what I needed to hear, that you don't have an agent, which is why I went in for the kill. Which is
Instead
why
of asking, are you signed with something?
exactly, because Nick,
So
even if they're not signed, what are they gonna say? They're gonna say yes, because they don't want you to bug
Like
them.
what you say, or you work with somebody.
Yeah, absolutely I am. Who are they?
I can't remember their names.
Bob the real one. Yeah, I learned that the hard way when I kept asking that question and realized all I am is I'm the guy at the Gap. When somebody walks into the store, I say, "What can I help you find?" They say, "Nothing." Then they walk out with a big bag of clothes. Clearly, I could have at least pointed you in a direction. Give me a break. So now instead of asking that, ask it that way, right? Hey, how are you finding out about homes? Because if they gave me the answer that Jacob gave me, great, that's all I need to know. Versus, oh, well, our agent's been sending it to us. Great. I know that's probably a valid, accurate answer. So now, guess what? If I've got two groups in my open house, I'm ignoring you, and I'm going straight for Jake because he's not spoken for, and you are.
so you don't think they care when you stop them midway through the?
No, it's very conversational. They're still kind of walking and looking at the same time. They're opening covered doors as we're having this conversation.
You
And
can
just,
just ask, how do you think?
yeah, what do you think about the home? Absolutely. I sometimes I'll ask, how does it compare to some other homes you've been into?
I see.
Yeah, just starting conversation. And then what I'm doing, Jake, is I'm trying to figure out what is it that I can offer them that they need. Well, you told me you needed help getting pre-approved. You didn't tell me that, but that's what I determined. So that's the offer that I made. All right. If you would have said yes, then I would have went for a consultation or a way to show you about more options about different homes and things like that. It's amazing how often, the other thing I'll say, and now I'll keep moving along here, is if somebody tells me they already have an agent, especially if I can sense that they're maybe lying, what I will then do is I'll end the conversation, sound like, "Hey, Jake, it was great to meet you. I really appreciate it. I know you already have an agent, but if for some reason your agent buys a Powerball ticket tonight, they win and they retire, give me a call. I'd love to help you and work with you." That's my last ditch effort. And all I'm doing is planting a seed there that says, hey, if you really don't have an agent, give me a call. Or if something happens with your agent, whether they move, they die, who knows what, I don't care. Yeah, I do care. Or if you become unhappy with your agent.
And that happens. Oh.
Often, it happens often. Then give me a call. It didn't happen. I didn't realize it happens as much as it does until I started doing these buyer consultations. People would come in and do a consult and say, well, yeah, we've kind of talked with one agent before, and they've sent us some emails or something, but they're just not doing it for us. Putting them on auto emails is not securing their business. You're going to be in auto emails, and then you're going to find out later that they bought a house with me, because auto emails are nothing, right? So don't rely on them. put them on them, utilize them, but you can't just put someone on an auto email and think, okay, I've got them wrapped up. You need to convert to an appointment. That's when you wrap them up.
Tell us how you would do that.
Do what?
After you've done, oh, hey, do you mind if I set you up on, I'll send you some properties that might work for you?
Yep.
And then you call them back or send them an email and say, hey, are there any of these? I mean, you tell us how you convert.
Okay, sure. So what I would attempt to do is in that initial meeting, so after I gather Jacob's contact information, let's continue the conversation. So hey, Jake, thanks very much for that information. I appreciate it. I'm going to put you in touch with Sally from our office. She's a phenomenal lender, and she'll do a great job getting you pre-approved. Here's the other thing I'd like to offer you. What I'd love to do is have you into the office for just a quick consultation. I promise no pressure, no obligation whatsoever. I'll tell you what's going on in the real estate market, answer any questions that you might have about the home buying process, and help you formulate a game plan that will allow you to be successful. Would that be helpful for you?
That would be, but
That's how I said that one.
but what did they say? Well, I'm gonna go talk to a lender first.
That's it. That's fine.
They separate.
So let me get crazy. You ready to get crazy? Jake, that's a great idea. Here's what I'd like to do. Sally's in the same office with me, so I can come on in. We'll do our consultation, and as soon as we're done and I have a great idea of what it is you're looking for, we can go right and talk to Sally, share that same information with her, and get you pre-approved.
Nice.
I got an answer for everything, dude. That ain't gonna wait for me.
And they all sound so great.
Right.
But I think even more important than what I'm saying is how I'm saying it.
It's a more relaxed approach and people are not going to be like, oh,
Right.
no,
Right. It's coming out relaxed. It's coming out friendly. I've built a little bit of rapport already. Am I stammering or stuttering, or is it coming out smooth? Do you think I've practiced it before? Do you think it's well rehearsed?
Maybe.
Yeah. So that's why knowing your scripts is helpful. Every time I've said the same exact script over and over again. And even if I do start to stumble, because sometimes I start to talk fast, I just keep going, or I'll pause quickly, right? And I'm always reminding, I'm just thinking to myself, what can I offer this person that will help them? Right? I'm not making it about, how do I get this deal? I'm making it about, okay, Jake's a young guy. He's coming in. He's looking to buy a property. He probably has some questions. He probably needs to know about the process. He's told me he needs to get pre-approved. I can help him with all these things. Jake, here are the things I can help you with. Would that help you? Yes, great. Let's talk.
The lender makes a big difference.
Yeah, it certainly can. But I'll be honest with you, I don't always go for the lender thing right away. That's not usually my first go-to. I like to do the consultation approach first because I don't like to get into money conversations with people right away the first time I meet them, unless it's in a consultation, because I don't want to turn them off. Because some people, they get really finicky about money, or they've had some stuff in the past, and it's like, hey, I'm a no judgment guy, right? So I try not to go down that path if I don't have to. But if I can tell that getting pre-approved is something that they'd like to do, I'm gonna leverage that value add as a way to get an appointment with them, right? Or to get their contact information. So let's say that I do have a different scenario, Leanne, where let's say that my open house was just too busy and I couldn't go in for the kill, but I was able to capture contact information. So that conversation might sound like this. So Jacob, I'm gonna call you. Came through my open house, okay? So ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Jacob and Zach over at Keller Williams. We met at the open house just yesterday. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for asking. I appreciate that. Say that you happened to take a peek at any other homes yesterday?
I went to one other one.
Okay, great. And how was that house?
It was kind of the same.
Okay, pretty comparable.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jacob, how long have you been looking at homes?
About 3 months.
Okay, awesome. And if everything worked out perfectly for you, when would you like to be in your next home?
Month and a half.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's pretty aggressive. What areas are you looking at?
Northeast side of town.
Okay, and do you already have a price in mind that you'd like to stay at or below?
200.
Okay, gotcha. And Jacob, one last question for you. How have you been finding out about homes, or how have you been finding out information to go to these open houses?
Online.
Okay, awesome. Well, Jacob, here's what I'd like to do. I'd love to offer you a chance to come into the office, meet with me. I'll answer any questions you have about the home buying process, tell you what's going on in the market, and help you formulate a game plan that will allow you to be successful. Would that be helpful for you? It's the same freaking script, right? And when it was the same questions, right? It works the same way over and over again. And Jacob, when I'm having that conversation with you, do you feel like you're kind of letting your guard down a little bit by the time I ask for the consultation?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm asking him questions. Notice I'm not talking about myself at all. I'm not saying, well, here's the deal, Jacob. I'm a #1 agent out of blah, 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 and I sell a lot of homes. I've been doing this for a long time, and you really, we should really work together. Jacob doesn't care about that. I'm asking so what I just did is I spent 60 seconds letting him talk about himself and tell me exactly what he wants. That's built some rapport right there, right? So great, I can help you do all that. Would it be helpful if I helped you to do that? Yeah, great, come on in. Oh, by the way, I just told you, it's a no pressure, no obligation thing. You've got nothing to lose. And I mean that. But I also know when you come in, you're gonna sign with me, right? Hey Jake, by the way, I'm gonna keep sending you properties that match that criteria that you just mentioned with me. So I look forward to seeing you next week. That's how I would do that kind of a follow-up.
So what if you call somebody and it's an online lead and they say, no, we're not looking anymore? But how can you convert them into like a future, like to get them?
So let's try it. So ring.
Hello?
Hello, this is Jacob.
Yeah.
Hey Jacob, this is Zach. I'm an agent over at Keller Williams Realty. Hey, I just want to call you and thank you for registering on our website to search for homes. What is it that you're looking for in a home?
We're actually not looking anymore.
Oh, did you buy a place?
Yes.
Oh, hey, congratulations. That is awesome. You plan to be there for quite a while?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Jacob, I'll be quick then since you've already found a home, which again, congratulations. But let me ask you this. Do you have any friends or family that might also be in the process of searching for a home?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. Hey, I can appreciate you taking a second to think about that. Could you do me a favor? If you do come across anybody, please feel free to put me in touch with them. I would love to take great care of them. Awesome. Hey, Jake, now that you're in a home, I would imagine that market statistics and knowing whether or not home values are going up is something that's kind of interest to you. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, here's what I'd like to do, Jake. At least once a month, I send emails out to people, letting them know what's going on in the market so they can help stay apprised of what their home values are worth. Is it okay if I maybe send you a quick email once a month to let you know what's going on in the market?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. That's what I'll do. Thanks very much. If you have any questions, please reach out.
What if they say no, though?
If you say no, not everybody's going to be nice. So you just say, okay, great. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. And that's just one tally. On to the next one, right? I think I talked about this at the beginning, is that at our company, we are so focused on results and people being productive and doing business that every time we make a phone call, we feel like we have to set an appointment or we're a failure. That's not the case. Sometimes you're making your phone call just because it's the 1 out of 10 phone calls you have to make, because you know if you do 10 phone calls, you're going to find a piece of business. So there are going to be some no's there, and that's okay. And quite frankly, you're gonna annoy people if you don't just take them at their word sometimes. If someone says, hey man, I'm not interested. Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Best of luck to you. They might go into some database where I start sending them emails or call them again every so often just to check in. But if they say, no, I've already bought a place, okay, fine. Yes, sir.
Hey, when you can send me the market information stuff. You have a spreadsheet that you keep track of all that, or do you use software that you put them in and it automatically does that?
Yeah, so you're in eEdge, you can use any of the campaigns in there to do that. One of the campaigns is a monthly newsletter which talks about the market, what's going on in the market.
Okay. So you just have to take him, plug him into that campaign, and it's
Let's
automatic.
go. Yep.
Okay.
Or I'll have Kelly on our team. She manages the database.
For those of us that don't have Kelly.
For those of you that don't have Kelly, you've got eEdge.
Okay.
Yeah, which is great. So that's how I would go about it. If they agree to let you stay in touch with them. Yep. And somebody else subscribes, don't let it ruin your day. It's okay. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. Right? Are you satisfied, Jacob?
All right.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Good. In general, people are more likely to agree to an appointment if you explain the benefit to them. I keep calling it the value. If they understand how it will be of value to them. For example, prospects are more likely to agree to come to your office for a buyer consultation when they understand that doing so could allow them to preview a lot of properties and ultimately save them time in their search process. So a lot of some of the scripts that come from the Keller Williams material are aimed at the value of saving time. I think that's fine, but the value that I always aim toward is education. That's the value that I always hit on. Say I can educate you about the market, answer your questions, and help you formulate a game plan. because people want to know what to do or how they can do it, rather than simply saving time. If I'm talking to a high D, okay, maybe I'll emphasize the savings of time, but really it's that educational piece, at least initially. Number 2, be an expert in your market. You should know your market better than anybody else. Your expertise will persuade leads that you're the best agent to represent them and care for their needs. Now, being the expert in your market, I think the very effective way to demonstrate this is during that consultation or that listing presentation. Instead of saying, I've been doing this for 15 years, I've sold X amount of units. Well, instead of doing the 2-minute commercial, or what is sometimes a 2-hour TV event for some agents, build in your expertise into the conversation. Sprinkle it throughout your interaction with that client, right? So I can give you some examples. Well, in the 10 years I've been doing this, what I found is the market often changes, and the kind of market that we're in now is blah 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 blah.
Or I have seen.
Right. Or they might ask me a question about, well, what about financing? Well, we've helped over 200 buyers finance properties, and what I can tell you is, if you go this route, blah 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 blah. You notice what I'm doing is I'm throwing in some statistics and some expertise and qualifiers in a way that's not necessarily in your face, but it's also like, oh wow, I didn't know that. That's pretty huge, right? And I'm using it as a way to answer their question and demonstrate that I know what I'm talking about without simply saying bullet point after bullet point. Yeah, back in 1993, I was voted America's best agent. And it's just non-relevant stuff, right? Your expertise will persuade leads you're the best agent to represent them and care for their needs. How do you get to be that expert? Get out there, be in the market, network with people who know what's going on. Bankers, lenders, appraisers, other real estate professionals. Preview houses so you become an expert on the market inventory. The beauty is, if you're working with enough buyers, that's your previewing of houses. You'll know what's going on. Do market analysis to know how long properties are on the market, which properties are selling and for how much. Your market analysis right now is if it's priced well, it's gone. It's selling the multiples. The guy in our team over the weekend wrote 4 different offers. Got beat out every single time. 4 offers with 3 different sets of clients. Poor guy. He's working his butt off. Got to keep at it. You got to keep your people engaged. That's the kind of market we're in. More inventory options will come on the market here shortly, which hopefully might help a little bit. But yeah.
Yesterday,
44 new listings in Rochester. March 1st, huh? So people have been waiting.
It's time.
Yeah, it's funny is we had a client we listed a house yesterday too. They wanted to wait till March 1st.
I know, what is the deal? I suppose, they're thinking more snow and.
Everybody wants to get through Valentine's Day to make sure there's no surprises. Right? Okay, we're still good. Let's do this. Thanks for sharing that, Leah. And I'm very impressed that you knew that information. Number 3, be confident in your ability. What builds confidence? There are a number of things you can do. Practice scripts, practice handling objections, role play, get training, say affirmations. I think the best thing you can do to help bolster your confidence is know that if somebody tells you no or no thank you, it's not the end of the world. It's okay. But don't let that ruin your day. Don't let it rain on your parade. It's simply fine. Move on to the next one. They don't know what they're missing out on, right? Number 4, have a list of questions to ask them. I've already given you guys several examples of the questions that I ask. So just ask them and then figure out a way at what point can I make the offer for an appointment or a consultation. Listening is about the most important thing you do as a real estate agent. I put a caveat there. Yeah, it's about listening. It's not about telling. It's not about judging. It's about listening. Listening is essential for establishing rapport. It's impossible to overemphasize the importance of it. You must listen to your leads to learn about their concerns, needs, and wants. Start listening during your first conversation and never stop. Page 16. Come from contribution. What can I do today? How can I best help you? Maybe let's say Jake was coming through my open house, and maybe another thing I would have asked him is, well, hey Jake, that sounds great. Sounds like you know kind of what you're looking for, your time frame. What can I do to best help you?
Find that property.
Awesome. Do this for me. Give me your email address and your phone number, and when I do find that property, I promise to reach out to you right away. We'll go take a look. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Perfect. Right. That's the lead generation and conversion in its most simplest form. Heather, it's been great to meet you. Sounds like you're looking for a property here sometime in the near future. What is it that I can do to help you? That's an okay question to ask, right? And it's open-ended, which I love. And based on the response you get, you can take it from there. Begin with the end in mind. Know where you want the conversation to go to get an appointment, for example, and lead people there. You can do this by asking questions. Always remember the person who asks questions controls the conversation. When someone asks a question of you, answer the question and quickly follow up with your own question. You might ask why the question they asked is important. The point is you need to ask enough questions to gather the information you want, and you must ask questions that are deep enough to reveal the person's true motivations and concerns, or timeline, etc. Seek agreement. Seeking agreement builds a pattern of saying yes to you. The more another person says yes before you reach a moment of truth, such as setting an appointment, the more likely they are to say yes to what matters most. Gene Rivers points out the strategic value in constantly seeking agreement. It takes the pressure off of the final closing. He says, when we build it up to being one big closing event, pressure's on the agent, the pressure's on the buyer or seller. There's a lot of pressure there. That's why everybody is nervous. Constantly seeking agreement disperses the energy and tension around the final closing to countless smaller closings. 3 strategies for seeking agreement: trial closes, assumptive close, and tie downs. They're all on page 17. Trial close. Trial closes are questions you use to test the water. You genuinely want to find out whether or not you and the lead are in agreement. For example, halfway through the lead sheet, you might ask, does this sound good to you? The answer might not be a yes. If it isn't a yes, return to the issue until it is. Trial close helps prepare a lead for the final agreement to have a consultation with you or expect a call from you in the future. I used to, on listing appointments, I used to say things like, oh yeah, and if you decide to list with us, or if you're comfortable, or if this works out. I don't talk that way anymore. I talk assumptively. Yeah, so when you list with us, so when we get your home on the market, so when you decide to go ahead and let us put a lockbox on, I talk matter-of-factly, like, yeah, this is already a done deal. It's already been decided. We're doing business together. Yeah, so when we start looking at homes, okay, once we get you pre-approved, once we've helped you write an offer, speak that way. You just let them know, congratulations, we're doing business together. That's my mindset. And you're going to help that mindset carry over to them as well. I'm trying to think of, so the other one I like using, and I've been told, I think you got to be careful with this one so you don't use it a bunch over and over again, because I've been told sometimes it can insult people, or people take it as an insult. But I'll say I'll be talking, or I might answer some questions, or I'll go through the PowerPoint a little bit on the consultation, and I'll say, does that make sense? You can get by with that once or twice, but I've been told that some people, if you keep asking them, does it make sense? Does it make sense? Then sometimes they're like, well, what do you think, I'm stupid? I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but I've heard that before, so I try to balance that out. Debbie, these are all the different financing options that will be available to you. We'll get you in touch with the lender. You can pick which one works best for you. Does that make sense? Sure. Awesome. Boom. That was just a little bit of getting some agreement, right? There's so many ways you can go about that. And then at that point, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and schedule a home inspection, put you in touch with the home inspector. We're going to do this, and this, blah, 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 blah. Any questions about that? Does that make sense? Sound good?
Yes.
Stuff like that. Assumptive close. In an assumptive close, you make a statement based on the assumption that you will get the appointment. For example, before you've made a listing appointment, you might say, I'll put together a complete report of market conditions in your price range to show you during the presentation. Assumptive closes operate by aligning the lead to your overall objective, which is to get an appointment. Some agents find assumptive closes too aggressive. But the key to remember is that you must demonstrate your responsiveness to their needs. You can use assumptive closes to align them to your goal and also need to make it clear that you are aligned to their goals. John Prescott, who was the first coach I had Bold, had a great one. He would come into the listing appointment, and the first thing he would do is he'd walk in, and or let's say he'd knock on the door. They'd open, "Hey, Jake, how are you? I'm John." They'd let him in. He'd come in and say, "Hey, thank you so much for having me out to your home. I'm so excited to list your home today. Thanks for having me." That's all he would do. I'm like, "Oh my God, this guy's nuts." But what do you think happened more often than not?
Well, tell us signature.
Yeah, people are like, "Yeah, of course, thanks for coming in." And right then, based on their very initial response, he knew if he had it locked up already or not.
So what did you say?
Sure. He would knock on the door and say, "Hey, this is John Prescott with Cutter Williams. We had an appointment at 3 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock sharp. May I come in?" "Yeah, come on in." "Hey, thank you so much for having me out. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to listing your home today. Thanks for having me out to talk about listing your home." Just a very assumptive this, that, or the other. He said every once in a while you get somebody that'll say, "Well, no, we know we're not quite yet settled yet, or we might be interviewing a few other people." And you would say, "Oh, that's okay, just checking."
Yeah,
He's a Southern guy, so he can get
I
away with
actually
it.
used that approach,
Have
but
you?
a little bit softer.
Sure.
And I came in and said, "Hey, so thank you so much for visiting with me today about, marketing your home."
Mhm.
Being kind of vague.
Right,
And you
absolutely.
get the same sort of response, but it's a little softer and not quite so, "Oh my God."
Right.
Like we have to give her, like what?
Yeah.
Because people step back a little and then, you sort of have them up at an edge.
Right. Absolutely. I think it's an expectations thing, and thanks for sharing that, because I feel, for so many of us, we go into the appointment with the expectation that we're going to have an appointment and then we'll see what happens. What my mindset changed, which is if I'm going on an appointment, my expectation is we're going to do business. We're going to decide if we're going to do business together. It's okay if you don't want to, but I want to know. And my expectation going into it is I'm going to get the listing, or I'm going to sign them as buyers. That has to be my expectation. Otherwise, I'm just going to waste time. Or I'm going to leave things up to chance, or questions are going to go unanswered. So my expectation is I'm going to go in a very non-threatening, very professional way, get the business, or offer the business, or ask for the business, right? Before I would just try to kill people with kindness and hope it would work out. Well, that was not as good of a strategy as going in and being very professional. And part of being a professional is being upfront with people, letting them know this is what I like to do. Imagine if you went to a doctor's office and the doctor said, "Hey, come on in. Yeah, everything appears to be okay for the most part. Just keep doing what you're doing. You might have some issues, but I'm not quite sure."
Thanks. I'll get a second opinion.
Right. We don't want somebody who's wishy-washy or indecisive. A doctor that said, "Hey, come on in. How are you? Hey, check up head to toe. You're looking fine. Keep doing this, this, and this. I noticed this about your blood pressure. You might want to fix this to make sure that you're going to be okay moving forward. Let's get the next appointment scheduled so we can keep you in here for your regular checkups." Right? Or, "Hey, I noticed this. This is something we have to take a look at in more detail." Blah blah blah. Right? They're looking for some leadership, some decisiveness. They're looking for you to take control of that conversation and help them do what it is they want to do. And if not, realize it right. I mean, there are times where within 5 minutes, I know I don't want to do business with this person, and I try to wrap up the appointment as quickly as I possibly can, nicely and professionally, and I get out of there. Oh, it nothing to do with this crazy person, nothing. Really within the first 3 minutes of me being here, you've told me that you think real estate agents are overpriced and they're not worth their commission. But short of me telling you what's really on my mind, I'm going to wrap this thing up and leave immediately, because we're done. You're wasting right now. I could be at home with my kids. Instead, I'm wasting my time with you, which I'm not going to do anymore. Thank you for your time. Best of luck to you. Yes, Bob.
You ever ask them when they say, "Hey, come on out, talk to me," whatever?
Mhm.
You ever say, "Are you talking to other agents? Are you interviewing other agents?" Or?
Yes and no. I'd be lying to you if it comes up where I sense it, I'll ask them. But if not, I
But
just
it's not a routine question.
Yeah,
You ask them
well,
every time.
If not, I assume they're not. I assume that they're not because when I go there, I'm going there to get the paperwork signed, right? Some people will have that as one of their questions that they ask, which is fine. There's no, I think it's a good question to ask. I just personally don't, right? But if I'm at an appointment and for some reason they're being wishy-washy about signing, then I might ask, oh, well, sometimes I find that people maybe aren't 100% comfortable signing right now because they plan to interview other people. Is that the case? I'll ask at that point, in which case that I might speak to a few more things that I didn't cover initially. But I'm always going to just try to lock them down right away. Because if I ask them, hey, are you interviewing other people? Then they might say something to the effect of, yeah, well, we want to interview everybody first or something like that. And I've got scripts for that objection. But I just go in assuming I'm the only guy and I'm just going to get it done. Yeah, very good question. It's not a bad question to ask, Bob. Tie downs. Tie downs are little phrases that get the people you're talking to into affirmative mode. Phrases like can't you, wouldn't you, isn't it? For example, you could say, if we market your house right, we should have an offer in less than a month. And that would be terrific, wouldn't it? These are questions whose answer is always affirmative. I love tie downs. My script of wouldn't that be helpful for you is kind of a tie down script because I'm forcing you to give me the answer that I want. Right? If you would answer, no, that wouldn't be helpful at all. Well, that's obviously kind of ludicrous. Of course, it would be helpful. So tie downs are ways in which you can get people to affirm things with you. So here's the deal, Jake. We can do this, this, and this, and these are all the things that if we do them, will help you find the home of your dreams, and that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Yes. Yeah. Just be careful because I've seen some people, and this one does annoy me. This is different than the does that make sense? I've had people use tie downs, and it feels like they're insulting my intelligence, and it bugs the crap out of me. Let me give you an example. Well, if you go out there, you go on, 5 appointments a month, you're gonna net $1 million, and that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Of course it would be. You know what I mean? I'm being facetious about it. Or they'll just give you an absolutely ludicrous example, like, if we do this, this, and this, it's going to have to get your home sold. You'll be able to get your family moved over to here by this time and avoid this and this, and that would be helpful, wouldn't it? Just like, just be careful with your tie down. That's what I'm getting at. Don't insult people's intelligence. Page 18. Return calls quickly and follow up when you promise to deliver information. Absolutely crucial. Responding quickly will oftentimes do all the work for you, just by simply calling them right away. Regardless of the way prospects contact you, they expect a quick response. And let me give you an example because somebody shared this with me and it was a little bit of an aha moment for me in terms of responding to leads. So when somebody is at Home Depot and they are looking for the paint section, that's relevant information they want to know right now, right? So they're gonna ask somebody, push a button or ask somebody, hey, where can I find the paint section here at Home Depot, right? It's the same thing when somebody is calling you off of a signed call or on the internet. If they register online or call you and have a question about a home, if you call them 2 hours later, they're not standing in the aisle of Home Depot anymore. They're not on your website looking at houses anymore. You're not going to catch them at an opportune time where they are in a ready and willing state to talk it. They've moved on. Now you're catching them in the middle of dinner or who knows what. That's why responding as quickly as you possibly can when they register or call you greatly increases your chances of conversion because you caught them at that opportune moment when they're in the store looking at the inventory, having questions about it. Versus, well, no, I'm completely separate from that. Now I'm doing something entirely different. Now you're just calling and annoying me. I would have been open to it had you called me within 2 to 3 minutes or 5 minutes. Now 2 or 3 hours a day or two later, I'm not open to that anymore. I forgot I was even doing that. Right? I'm not telling you to give up on those leads and not call them. They still can be converted. Just know that your chances of success greatly increase when it's within the first 5 minutes. The best answer I can get when I call somebody is, oh wow, that was fast, like freaky fast. Great, and I say absolutely. That's the kind of customer service we deliver. What is it that you're looking for at home? Or or you can use a tie down. Yeah, absolutely. I would assume that responsiveness is something you're looking for in your real estate agent, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Fantastic. You know how I respond. How can we help you? Page 19. Communicate in person. A personal discussion allows you to find commonalities and start to build rapport. You can also get answers to important questions such as the prospect's motivation, how far advanced the person is in the search process. The more direct your contact, the more prospects you will convert to appointments. Remember, it's harder for a prospect to turn your request for an appointment down when you talk in person than via email or text. In person can mean phone or in person, face to face. That's what that means. Getting the most from internet inquiries or online leads arrive via email or even text nowadays. They're different from phone inquiries, which usually are for people who are fairly far along in the process of looking for a house. You ask pre-qualification questions, gauge their readiness, and either make an appointment or put them on a marketing action plan or refer them to somebody else. So I answered your question, Jake. If there's like, hey, no, I'm not at a consultation point, whatever, okay, that's fine. You know, put them on a marketing campaign, right? Keep sending them properties and keep checking in with them. You rarely have a phone number to call and make an appointment. Your contact with the person is through impersonal media like email, internet, or internet leads tend to be more gun shy than your average lead. Because the big difference when it comes to internet leads is the vast majority of them have what kind of a timeline?
Can you say that again?
Yeah, the thing about internet leads is the vast majority of them have what kind of a timeline?
An hour.
Yeah. I mean, I should qualify that. What kind of a timeline regarding their home purchase or sale?
6 to 12 months.
It's usually further out. It's usually further out, right? Which is why sometimes they're not super gung-ho. Every once in a while, you will uncover the ones that are all about it. Let's meet right now and make it happen. But a lot of people, they're just starting to peruse. Hey, I'm just getting online to just kind of start, see what's going on, figure things out.
Fishing.
They're fishing. Yes, you have to understand what their timeline is, and then speak to that timeline and realize that your marketing and your approach to them has to match that timeline. So you notice one of the questions I ask, and I use the word verbatim, what's your timeline? If I don't know what your timeline is, I don't know how to best help you. If you tell me, Jacob, like you did, you want to be at home in a month and a half, we're going to go see properties tonight. If you tell me 12 months from now, I'll stay in touch with you. I'll still try to do a consultation. But
But
what we're
knowing that they say 12 months means 3 months.
absolutely, and that's why I want to do the consultation, because my experience has shown me people will often bump up that timeline.
What's a good script? I've been talking to someone that is looking for a place down in Florida from here. And I asked them what their timeline is, what they're looking for, what their budget kind of was. And he's like, well, I've been looking for the last 2 years. I'm like, okay, well, how is some of those properties I sent to you? Like, how do you get him?
Right.
Because he's obviously been
Well,
looking, but I don't know how hard.
What's your biggest difficulty?
What you don't know about him is what his motivation truly is.
Sure.
I mean, we kind of know if he's been looking for 2 years.
Right.
We kind of know. Okay, so
It's kind of hee-haw.
yeah, so you're kind of a looky-loo or hee-haw, right?
Yeah.
So I would ask a few more questions, like, okay, what's your real time? So when I ask somebody about their timeline, if I don't get the answer I want, have you guys heard me ask it a different way? I've used it a couple different times. I say, if everything were to align perfectly, if all the stars aligned magically, and if everything worked out perfectly for you, when would you like to see yourself in your new home?
Because to me, it's
That's the
not
answer I look
truly
for.
serious.
Right, because if they can't give you an answer, then they're not
Right.
they're not truly motivated. They have no idea.
Right.
So I would say, here's the deal. I'm going to keep sending you properties. When you get to the point where you are really ready to do something, let me know. So make it happen. In the meantime,
I'll continue to send them.
absolutely. In the meantime, I'm going to keep sending you stuff. I'm going to check in with you at least monthly to see if anything changes regarding your timeline. If you have questions in the meantime, let me know. That's something you're just going to have to keep pinging at least once a month until he actually is ready to do something.
Yeah.
Great question. Myth, internet leads aren't any good. Truth, internet leads aren't worse than traditional leads. They're just different. Internet, you've got to have your scripts down if you're going to call a complete stranger. You have to have your item of value ready to roll. That's what's going to help you set the appointment with them. And here's the deal, you guys, I'm telling you, try it, ask the question. More people will take you up on the appointment than you realize. And don't even think twice about having them come to the office. I've had people drive from 45 minutes away to meet me in my office for an appointment. People will do it. Oh, by the way, that's another gauge of their motivation. By all the traditional ways of analyzing leads, those on the internet may seem like pretty poor bets. But as the digitally addicted generations X and Y grow up and start buying homes, agents are increasingly discovering just how valuable internet leads can be. I think I've shared this before. More people reach out to me from I know you kind of a relationship via Facebook than any other means, which is awesome. Page 22, think about this. When a person calls you, what sort of preparation have they done towards selling their home or getting ready to buy? They've probably examined their finances, done at least a little research into the market, and made some sort of plans about what to do after the real estate transaction. I'll tell you, for some people, they've got no idea. They literally are just hopping online to start looking at properties. But some people will have done a lot of work, which I love. They're ready. They're already. Sometimes people come to you pre-approved. They know what cities they want to be in, and they're just ready to roll. And you take them out a couple times, and they've got a house under contract, and you throw a freight because that's awesome. There are other people where you're starting from ground zero, and they're like, "What's pre-approval mean?" And you're like, "God bless you. I hope you can get pre-approved." Right? You got to start from ground zero. The internet provides anonymous, instant information. People who are in the early stages of the buying process can make casual inquiries without doing any preparation at all. In fact, the internet is increasingly the first step homeowners take in their real estate transaction process. So sometimes they're calling you literally just to get a quick answer, or they're registering just to get a quick answer to something. The last thing they want to do is be called and have someone try to set an appointment with them. To that, I say, have fun with it. Do it anyway. What does that mean for you? Does it mean that internet leads are just looky-loos or people that hee-haw who will never actually become active customers? Does it mean the internet leads are worthless? No, absolutely not. Far from it. The fact that people using the internet are the first stages of the selling process just means that they require a different process. It generally takes a longer time for them to become a lead. So we talked about earlier when Leanne said their timeline's a little further out. It's also great news because if it's the first part of their process, the likelihood that they've already talked to an agent is what? Little. That's your chance to lock them up. Agents with teams should make it a team goal to respond immediately, or just agents in general should make it a goal to respond immediately. It can be a little tougher for a solo agent who truly want to maximize their investment in internet leads, but nowadays you can set things up so that if somebody registers, if you can't call them right away, they at least get an immediate text message or email, right? So a lot of that stuff can be automated for you. 23, email response, video response, free comparative market analysis. There's all ways you can respond to people right away. Pre-CMAs are a good one to get sellers who are intrigued about possibly selling their home. Systematic marketing plans, we've talked a lot about them already. Your 8x8, your 12x12, your 12 directs, your 33 touch campaigns, utilize them. They're part of the conversion process. Consultation pre-qualification. One of the most important, I'm on page 25, one of the most important steps in working with sellers and buyers is having an in-depth consultation to determine their true needs and wants. And I call it that with people. This is a consultation because you go to your doctor for a consultation. You go to an attorney, your tax person for consultations. You're coming to me, a real estate professional, for a consultation. I need to know what it is you're looking to do so that I can consult you on what needs to happen next. This information lets you know how urgent the potential customer's real estate need is and if they can even do it within the timeline they want to. It also helps you prepare for the consultation, get a feel for their behavioral style, and learn how you can provide value. For example, every once in a while, you might have leads that, or referral that you call them up and set the appointment, no problem, and other ones have questions for you. Okay, great. How long have you been doing this? What's your average sale price? What areas do you cover? What does that tell me about their behavioral style? Yeah, they're a C. So they're someone to C. So guess what? My consultation, I'm probably going to walk in with a little bit of extra market information and, you know, a quick update on the knowledge of my own statistics.
I'm gonna refer that. Do it.
Right, or I might lead, or I might build that into our presentation, which I wouldn't normally do. I might have a slide to say, you might be wondering a little bit about our experience or expertise, the markets that we cover. I put this slide together to answer all those questions for you and to put you at ease and let you know we've got you covered. We've done X amount of transactions. This is our average sale price. We cover these markets. This is how we operate. But if you're not tuned into that kind of thing, you might miss it completely. Page 26 and 27 have some questions that you can ask sellers to get the conversation going. By the way, what prompted you to call today? Just curious, how'd you get my number? How'd you happen to hear about me? Excuse me. Why are you moving? When do you need to be out of your house? I'd be happy to give you an estimate of what your home is worth in today's market. What's your contact information? That's a great way to elicit that contact info. Where are you moving to? How much do you think your home is worth? I love asking that question because right away it tells me whether or not they're going to be reasonable or not. Page 29. Asking for an appointment doesn't have to be a big production. Just ask. Page 30 moves on to questions to ask buyers. I'd like to give you some information about real deals on the market right now. Would that be of value to you? That's a version of would that be helpful for you? Once you have a person's name, use it. People like the kind of recognition and it builds rapport. Has an agent already taken you out and shown properties? Yes. Well, how's it going? It's going okay. Great. A real estate agent can really help a lot. If anything changes for you, please feel free to call me if there's anything I can do to help. If it's not going well, hey, I respect the relationship you have with another agent. If things don't work out and I can ever be of assistance, feel free to give me a call back. I'd love to help you find what you're looking for. Those are all okay things to say. You know, I've got a lot of information I'd be happy to share with you about homes for sale in our area. When it would be a good time to get together. More questions on the next few pages as well. These are all scripts and questions I would read through, familiarize yourself with, and what you'll find is there's a lot. There's more than you ever need. But for me, what I was able to do is take out 2 or 3 that really spoke to me, or that I would tweak a little bit, and then those became my go-tos. That's how I would utilize it. Page 40. Prospects may question why they need to come to your office for a consultation. It's important to remember that they're anxious to go out looking for a home. You need to let them know the benefits of having a consultation. You'll learn about their values, needs, and wants so you can screen houses and your buyers won't waste their time looking at a lot of houses they aren't going to buy. You'll also be able to answer their questions, let them know how you work, educate them about market conditions as well as the home buying process. If you typically show properties online during the consultation, let your prospects know that they will use their time efficiently by previewing lots of homes in your office. So this is great. You need to let them know the benefits of having a consultation. I already gave you the script I use, and then during the consultation, I use the benefits as the means to help them realize they want to sign the contract to work with me. Debbie, this is the contract that allows me to get to work for you, work on your behalf, negotiate for you, schedule showings, get you into homes, etc. That's how I explain the buyer rep contract. I equate it with everything they want. Buyers, more than anything, want what? Huh? Yeah. Buyers, more than anything, what do they want? What do they want to do? They want to see homes. More than anything, they want to see homes. I want to get inside them. So I say, great. If you sign this contract, it lets me take you into homes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When you sign this contract, it allows me to show you homes. I don't say it exactly like that, but that's essentially what I'm saying. So what they hear is, okay, great. If we sign this contract, Zach's working for us. You can get us in to see properties, help us with this, do negotiations, blah, 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 blah. Sweet. Sign me up. And oh, by the way, it's for free when I'm working with you as your buyer's agent. Makes it a no-brainer. There's an alternative approach listed on page 40. Many agents ask questions about the home the caller wants to buy on the initial phone call. If you do that, be prepared to make adjustments to the buyer's needs and wants when you have a couple together in your consultation. What the caller tells you may not reflect what their husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend also wants in a home. Also, couples aren't sure sometimes what they want and change their answers once they really start thinking seriously about their purchase or while they're in the search phase, which is always frustrating. The questions you ask in a buyer consultation will help them clarify what they want in a home.
Especially newly married.
Oh, yeah. Any questions about any of the scripts that you're seeing here? About the process in general? Read those scripts, become familiar with them. We're going to jump to page 51. Classify your leads. When you talk with prospective customers, ask questions that will allow you to determine if they're ready, willing, and able to do business with you now. You want to be actively working with buyers who will buy within a week. You want to prioritize people that are likely going to go into contract in the near future. That's what that's saying. What are their barriers to moving forward? Can you remove those barriers? Are they qualified? Can you work with them? Will they be a liability for you? Meaning, will they be a drain on your time? Are they unrealistic? Do they not really know what they want? Can they be pre-approved? Right? Reasons to classify potential customers, determine how quickly you want to meet in person, decide how much you will cover in the consultation, determine what you need to do for follow-up, and eliminate prospects who are not good business for you. So let me give you an example, because this is kind of good. Determine how quickly you want to meet with the person. Well, usually you would think if someone's willing to meet, you want to meet with them as soon as possible. Well, yeah, typically, if somebody tells me that their timeline is 3 to 4 months, I want to meet with them as soon as I possibly can. But if that means it's going to be a huge inconvenience for me, if somebody tells me they're 6 to 12, okay, that I might meet next week, right? When it's much more conducive to my schedule, maybe not having to rearrange some things or spending evening to do the meeting, right? If they're motivated but a little further out, I might push them out to a time which is a little bit more convenient, right? That's what that's saying. It's not saying that you're going to decide whether or not you want to meet with them or not. Just saying you might have some more flexibility with that one. Potential customers to avoid: sellers who are fixated on commission, not value, and sellers who are unreasonable about price. Regarding buyers, buyers are already committed to another real estate agent, and buyers who are unwilling to get pre-approved for a mortgage loan, or just have completely unrealistic expectations. Right? If they're looking for a phantom house at $150,000, don't continue to waste your time. Questions on that? Anything? Feedback? Ahas?
How much experience do you have working with builders?
A lot.
Okay. So obviously we don't have a lot of inventory, so people are looking at them. And I'm wondering, do you have any specific kind of, scripts that you use?
I certainly do.
And the reason I'm asking is, there are good builders and there's really bad builders.
Yeah.
And you don't want to get somebody hooked up with somebody that.
Yeah, you just said your own script right there.
I know.
She's like, I know.
I'm already there.
So here's what I'll tell people, especially if I know new construction will be an option, because sometimes they'll talk with people and, they might be considering new construction and they might be considering pre-existing, right? So you have to help educate them and let them know, don't just go walking through builder models without me and talking to a builder rep in a nice way. So what I tell people is this. We certainly do help people with new construction. As a matter of fact, it's one of the things we specialize in. If building a new home or buying a brand new home is something that you're considering, we have an entire process for that that allows us to oftentimes help save you some money. Let me explain to you briefly how that works. Jacob, if you know you want to build a home, the first thing we do is we reach out to all the builder reps that we know and already have working relationships with, and we schedule an appointment with every single one of them to find out what their options are, what floor plans they have that you might be interested in, what lots are available. And then we price everything out. And oh, by the way, Jacob, what I do with all those builder reps is let them know we're pricing out options with all the other builders in town. And when we see those figures, we play them against each other to help negotiate the price down as much as we can for you. So it works out very well when you work with us to help you do that new construction home, because unlike the builder rep, we don't work for just one builder. We can help you price out all of them and get you the best deal possible. That's the script I utilize. Yep. And it's fun. I mean, this is true stuff. We know all the builder reps, and we have because builders sometimes have different reps. We've got our one per builder, the best one. And they love us because no matter where the development is, we come to that builder rep. So they sit down with us, they'll work with us.
It's not builder rep here. It's
Right.
Builders.
And that's fine, it's the same thing, because sometimes in the meetings, we're sitting down with builders.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the same exact principle. We'll set an appointment with all the builders here in town. We'll have them walk us through the floor plans, the lots they have available, the best they can do with us in terms of pricing, and then you can make the best, most well-informed, educated decision possible.
Do you talk about their warranties and all that good stuff, or do you just kind of say?
I would typically, I'll say, if I'm talking about new construction versus pre-existing or traditional homes, I'll say, hey, one of the benefits of new construction is there are oftentimes some warranties involved, but what you might find are subtle differences in the warranties between builders. So in our meetings, I'll let each builder speak to their respective warranties. We'll take information, and then we'll be able to weigh all of our options once we've had meetings with all of them, right? Because, and here would be a tie down, because doesn't it make sense to research all your options and all of your builders and not just one?
Yeah. You want to have all the information.
Right, absolutely. And if you go and you meet with just one builder, well, what do you think they're going to have to say about everybody else? Yeah. So that's why, and you can be very, politically correct about it. Hey, we're going to interview everybody, see what all of our options are. And I'll tell you right now, a lot of our clients that find the most value in working with us oftentimes tend to be new construction people. Bless you. Because the other part of that script is this: negotiating the build and the lot and the pricing, that's literally half the battle. The next half of the battle is going to take place between the next 4 to 6 to 8 months throughout that build process, when stuff will happen. Every single build process we've done with a client, we've had to come in and kick people because they've gotten stuff wrong. And when builders and builder reps are working with just a client that doesn't have an agent, what do you think happens to those poor people? They get steamrolled. They get steamrolled. Well, guess what? Try to steamroll a client of mine. I know better. We're going to be on the phone, and I know exactly what I can do to correct that situation, because what you're trying to do is illegal and it's not right. We're not going to stand for it. And oh, by the way, you got this wrong on the plan, so my client expects a $2,000 concession. That's how people are going to love you for life for that.
They don't want you to tell them all that crap up front.
No.
So
Yeah.
What's really terrifying is I know a lot of builders that are really bad, and they will not even come back on phone calls, or it's ridiculous. And these little things, you don't want to bash anyone.
But that's some of the value that you bring to your client too. Is you can say, because I'll tell them, here's the deal. I can tell you about this builder, and this builder, and this builder. This builder, they're really good on price, but because that's kind of reflected in quality. They're not terrible builders, just because the quality is going to be different. That's why they're priced lower. This builder, you're going to get a lot of bells and whistles. That's why they're a little bit more expensive. And this builder, they're good, but their communication is kind of poor.
Very disorganized.
Right. So we're going to have to go into that knowing that. Yes, Nick.
So in regards to builders, I'm glad you brought that up. How do you set that relationship up with a builder?
That's the other part.
That's one thing.
This is what I do.
I like to get paid.
Yeah. So Nick, let's say you're the builder.
Okay.
Hey Nick, this is Zach with Keller Williams. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome. Hey, I just want to let you know I've got some clients I'm working with right now. They're currently in the process of considering new construction. I'd like to schedule a meeting with you to come meet with you and my clients to discuss what lots you have available and where, and maybe some floor plans, and do some pricing with you.
Oh, that sounds great.
You have to be the person that sets that meeting. I don't let the clients do it. I say, here's what we're going to do, Mr. and Mrs. Client. We are going to set and schedule all these meetings, and the reason I want to do it is because I want to set it at a time in which I can be there as well, right? You gotta master and take down and own that entire process.
So do you contract? Okay, so do you contract your commission, your 3%, whatever, 5, whatever? Do you commission that with the buyer or the builder?
Here's
builder's
the deal.
paying it.
The builders already have some sort of number in their prices. They've already built that in.
A builder.
They're gonna pay somebody. They're gonna pay an agent, or they're gonna take that profit themselves.
A builder, if they're not represented by an agent, they're for sale by owner. So you do the same thing you do the sale by owners. So Nick, let's say we're having that
So we're
conversation.
sitting down
still.
having that meeting.
No, let's say it's before that. So hey, Nick, before we even have that meeting with my clients, I want to make sure that you're willing to pay a buyer agent compensation. Is that the case?
Mhm.
Awesome. I'm assuming it's
Okay.
I'm assuming it's at least a going rate of 3%. Is that right?
Sure.
Perfect. So on the front end, before we even go to that meeting, I know you're going to pay me, right? And builders will do that. That's common practice.
Okay.
One of the things that I have found is they usually build in, if they're.
More
if
than
they're-
that.
Yeah, 5%, and I always say to them, look, I'm not looking at 6%. So I just want you to know that I want to make sure that my buyers get the best deal possible.
Right.
And, if you're fair with me,
Right.
I will make sure that I bring as many people to you as
Right.
possible.
Absolutely.
And
Okay. I just wondered if and maybe the question was more, how are builders in this town in working with real estate agents? Because
They're
the market
good.
is so hot.
The
Yeah,
thing
I wasn't
is,
sure.
they want our business. They want
Okay.
this
If
communication.
you have the client, it gets back to what Gary's been talking about data recently. We have the data, we have the clients. If you've got the buyers already locked down, Nick, the builder, they have to work with you.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Well,
So,
if they want business, they
exactly,
need to.
right. If it's truly a builder not represented by an agent, by God, they're gonna benefit from the organization that you bring to the transaction, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
As a guy that has built a house, I know, I've been on both ends, with clients and with myself as a consumer. I know how complicated that process can be. And thankfully, as a real estate agent, I had some knowledge going into it. And there were a couple of times where not the builder, but the developer came back and tried to say, well, no, you guys owe us this. And I say, are you nuts? You must have lost your mind. And I feel bad because I know a general consumer unrepresented would probably have been like, oh my God, I guess we just have to pay this. And I said, hey, dude, here's the deal. It's not going to happen. I appreciate you just asking. Of course, I said it much nicer than that. But no way, Jose.
Okay.
Did you have something else, Leanne?
Oh, just, I guess, I've learned through the process of going through this with clients, there are so many builders that you don't want to ever call near, and they're just a nightmare waiting to happen is basically all it is.
But that's what makes you valuable as a professional, because you can help people realize that.
Are we allowed to, we're not allowed to,
You're allowed
I'm
to
not gonna
say,
use the word steer.
yeah, you're allowed to say this, Nick. I've had experience with many builders, and the experiences I've had with that particular builder have not been a good one. Let me tell you what's happened in the past, because that's all truthful and factual.
And I don't like to.
I do the same
railroad
thing.
People or.
No, I do
steer
the
people,
same
but-
thing with lenders, by the way.
Oh, I'm
There was a guy that I talked to not that long ago who said, oh yeah, we're thinking about getting pre-approved with Quicken Loans, and and then we'll probably switch. So I said, I'm glad to hear you say that, because in my experience, Quicken has not done a good job. I'm not bashful about it. Not
There's
bashful
all
about it at
kinds
all.
of other qualified lenders that are better
Right.
qualified to suit you and get you the same numbers or
Well,
better.
what I told him is I've got 2 lenders local that if I call, text them, I'll have answers immediately. They know who I am, I know who they are. And there's a benefit to that. He said, that sounds fantastic. So, with that being said, let's take a little bit of a break. Let me see what time it is. It is 10:58. Let's take a break till about 11:05. And we're probably going to wind down at around 11:30 today, because I have to hop on a phone call from 11:30 to 12:30, just as a heads up. We're taking, now that you're back, Jake, we're going to take a break.
Good.
We'll be back up at 11:05.
I was trying to wait, but
We didn't know what else to do while you were gone.
We just badmouth builders for a while.
I
Well,
know,
good
I know
idea.
a decent builder if anyone wants it.
There you go. There's plenty of good builders out there.
I do build.
You don't have any connections.
They're kind of, they're probably about 300 to 450.
It's usually
range. They
the
usually
builder
build.
rep.
what's his name?
It's exclusive home builders. Brad,
They're exclusives.
yeah. It's Brad
that-
Ehrman. It's one of our cousins.
Oh, it's your,
Yeah. We've done construction, like subcontracted for him in the past.
His name was one more time.
Brad.
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 Did he just pick up a subdivision on the northwest side? Cascades, right?
May have, I don't, he usually works over southwest, kind of in, he's worked at Hart Farms, he's worked in Southwood. Is it Southwood it's called, or South Ridge? Kind of behind, Skyline there. Is that South Ridge? I'm not familiar with all the new
Oh,
subdivisions
nope,
right now.
wrong developer, my bad. I was gonna say, I've had experience with them.
Gotcha.
It's been different.
Exclusive?
But it's a different one.
Oh,
Yeah. Wait a minute, is it? No, it's not.
no.
We're good.
Okay, guys.
Mexico, Haiti.
Thank you, by the way.
Please tell me. I don't want to pass anything with things that's not good.
I went through my list yesterday.
Yep.
Like you told me.
Yep.
I came up with 8.
Dude, that's huge.
Yeah.
Keep it up,
So
man.
that's 8 on residential, and I'm sitting around
See,
7
look at that.
potential on commercial. So I
Awesome, keep it up.
put my head back on and figure out what I'm doing.
When is your watch flight, by the way?
Oh, yeah, they couldn't get on.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. They booked everything, and then Delta couldn't figure out how to book an infant for international.
You would think they'd do that on a regular
You
basis.
think so?
That's
So,
ridiculous.
well, part of it is also the system that they're using is it's the internal system, not like the system that you and I use to book something.
Okay.
And so for some reason it wasn't working.
Did they just-
One of the phone calls they made yesterday, get this. You know how you get that call volume has been busy lately?
Yeah.
Please call back in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Literally said, call back in 3 days.
Oh my God. Customer service, baby.
Man, I gotta call that back. I didn't hear that right.
3 days. Yeah. I'm currently busy helping our current clients.
Oh, you
We
must
would
have
do it
a
about
lot of lines
3
coming in.
days.
After that busy, you're not gonna have any airplanes.
I have to imagine the longest wait time you could ever actually have is 2 hours. Because anything above that, no one's gonna actually wait.
Everybody else is just gonna forget it.
Unless you're arithmetically, whatever, statistically figured out that at that call rate, you won't actually get in unless you keep calling. And it's a continual 1 to 2 hour wait.
It's like, man, the wait time's long enough. I'd be on the ground before I get called.
Yeah.
What? You pick it back up at 11:05. It's 11:04. The room is empty. Let's see if we have a bunch of typical realtors here. See if everybody shows up late. I was getting worried. 11:05 on the dot. Woo!
Yeah.
Thought, man, did I make him that angry this morning? I'm not coming back for the second part. Just kidding. Power session 11, living your goals.
are here.
Half are here. I would say for the half of the room, one of their goals is being punctual, being on time. Okay, page 6. Are you ready to pick up the pace? Do you want to close 36 transactions or more in a year?
I don't know.
Leanne, I'm not sure if you can handle it.
Yeah, really.
Well, here's what I'll tell you right now. You get to 36 regular. I hired my assistant when I was at about 30
I can't
deals.
find someone. That's the problem.
Well, Leanne, you know, I'm not Cupid. I can't help you necessarily find something if that's what you're looking for. But if that's truly your, are you going to career visioning, Leanne?
No.
Can you?
When is this?
Open your calendar. I'll show you.
One more training. I'm just like,
Next Wednesday and Thursday. Full day, half day. This is where you need to be.
really?
This is where you need to be.
What is this going to do?
It's going to teach you how to hire. It's going to give you sources, where to find talent, what to do when you find it, what the process to take them through it, all that fun stuff. When we're done, we're
Is
good.
this the 12-month course or whatever, the one that, what's your,
No, this is in person.
okay.
This is up in the Twin Cities. Yeah, I highly recommend. I've been to these courses; they're extremely valuable. This is the same
Let
stuff
me
I
ask
use
you,
when I
is
hired
it
my.
Monica Reynolds, right? Or Monica?
Monica Reynolds is she does to train your assistant.
Yeah.
No,
So
this
it-
is you. This is for you, the
Did
team
you-
owner.
Guys in Wood County.
Yes,
Okay.
both of our assistants have gone through.
Monica,
Yes,
okay.
highly recommend it.
So how did you find Kelly through this kind of,
No, we knew Kelly already. But our first assistant that we hired, we didn't know. So I'm telling you, that's where I would start. That's where I would start. I'll tell Katie to sign you up today.
okay, how much is this?
I think it's at least a couple $100. Business write-off, business write-off.
I'm
Career
not
vision.
worried about it,
I know
it's
you're
just, holy buckets. One more training.
Well, let me frame it to you this way too. So it's going to be, so what kind of agents do you think are going to be at that training?
I think high producing.
Producing agents. Who would you like to network with and strike up referral relationships with, Leanne?
It's not about referrals.
It's always,
It's all about
it's
referrals.
always about referrals.
Oh.
Because guess what? What else could they refer you, Leanne?
I know.
A potential prospect for an employee.
And if any of them drop out, you can always take their business.
They're not going to this, I can promise you that. They're gonna try to be out knocking on doors or something, you know?
Jake, wait, come on.
I know, take your time. Both sessions.
One more strike.
No, but that being said, what you will often hear people say is that the people that build their organizations to a certain level, they say, I still lead generate. I still look for prospects and referrals. They're just not for real estate transactions. They're for people to bring into my organization, right? So, okay, let's do this. Let's put down the throttle or the gas pedal and let's make it happen. Let's blow it up. We're in the last session of 36-12-3, and the whole goal of this entire program is to help you do what? Lead generate. To close 36 or more transactions within 12 months by doing 3 hours of dedicated lead generation per day. That is the goal. What's that?
That never happens for me.
Well, it can.
Oh.
All right, page 9, we're going to get real for a minute. We're going to talk about your big why. Why do you want to do 36 or more transactions in a year? What does it mean to you? Do you want to move from the growth phase of your career to the achievement phase? We know you can do it, but the question is, why do you want to do it? Do you want to become a millionaire real estate agent and gross $1 million? Great, but why? What's driving you? For like 2 years, with my coach, she would ask me, what is your why? And I would say, Jody, I don't know. I'd say, Jody, I do well financially. Money is not a problem for me. This is not a braggadocious thing. This is what's my big why thing? It's not, it's not to make more money. I'll love to make more money. That's good. I'm not gonna say no to it. Right? Or she said, what is your why? What's the why behind it? What does it allow you to do? If you were to increase your goals and to make more money, what does that then allow you to do, and how does that channel your why? Okay. So I realized there's a couple things I'm passionate about. One of them is I'm passionate about business. I love business. I love investing in business. I love business opportunities. So part of real estate for me is a means to generate capital to invest. Invest in businesses, or really just to generate wealth and achieve financial independence. I like that. Okay. The second and most important thing to me is that I didn't realize what my big why was until I had a kid. Now I have two, is to make sure that I am always in a financial position or situation that if any opportunity ever comes up for a child of mine, money will never be a reason why they can't pursue it. That's my big why, is to be financially well off enough so that my kids can have every single opportunity they want at their disposal. That's my goal. Yep. Spoil them rotten and then discipline them. No, I don't know. And here's why. Because I remember back when I was a kid, I wanted to go on a mission trip. And my parents at the time, who are now successful real estate agents, but back then, and they were very young, was like, hey dude, like we'd love to help you. We've got 4 kids and I mean, go raise money. I was like, well, that doesn't sound appealing. So I've went on a mission trip. It was a lot of blast, but there are several trips that I was not able to go on because it just wasn't in the family budget. So I told myself, my kids, it will be in the family budget because that mission trip was a phenomenal experience. And I want my kids to have phenomenal experiences. You've got to know your big why to stay motivated day to day. I think I shared with this group, I don't know if it was all of you, also around this time, when Carly and I decided, yeah, we want to start having kids, what became important to us was where we lived. I wanted to live back in Lakeville. Lakeville schools are phenomenal. My parents are there. Carly's parents are there. And Carly, she started all this mess. She sent me a link to a new construction home. It was a spec home, so it was already built, a Lennar property. And she said, look at this in the price. I said, oh my gosh, let's go take a look. So we dropped everything, we looked at it. And before you knew it, we'd been through every new construction property in Lakeville. We talked to all the builders. We were pricing stuff out. And I sat down and I priced it out with Lennar, and they gave me the final price. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be down the road. But what I did is I went online, I found that model, I printed off every single picture in color of that model. In my office, they're all posted everywhere. And every time I needed to lead generate, or I didn't want to lead generate, or I was like, oh, this just sucks, or I got a no, or somebody was rude, I looked at my pictures and reminded myself, I'm doing this to build the home of my dreams for my kids to grow up in a school system that's great, surrounded by their loving grandparents. So get to it, dude, and make it happen. And now we live in a home that we just built last August in Lakeville.
Is it the house?
What's that?
Plan?
It's an even better one. It's an even better
There you
one.
go.
It's not a Lennar, and I found a better deal. And I got
So
the
it's
lot.
meant to be.
I got a better lot, yes. It worked out very well. Very, very lucky, very fortunate, very blessed. And we're within, like my parents' neighborhood is the next neighborhood over. We back up to an elementary school where they're gonna go to school. My parents' neighborhood is on the other side of that school. And my wife's parents' neighborhood is on the other side of my parents' neighborhood. Gosh,
Starting community.
we're set for a little bit, right?
Until they get to be too close.
Right, seriously. Well, let me tell
Just
you.
pop it in.
Right,
It is
they
hard
know.
to figure out and to step. That's what need time to get away from the business sort of to
Right.
figure it out. Like,
Right.
what is the driving?
Yeah,
What's the
you
reason?
need to be aligned with your passion and your big why, because real estate is not always easy.
And it's not fulfilling always. It's a grind.
Sometimes it's not, yeah, sometimes it's a grind. You know, but you know what? One of the great things about our profession is we're paid very well.
Yeah.
It's a grind. Yeah, we should be. It's a grind. It can suck at times. But if you know, but hey, you know, Team Life conducted 49 units last year. That's not a bad year. It's the best year we've actually had ever. And it was Carly pretty much doing it on her own because I'm down here in Rochester.
But you guys have some other people in your team that are.
We had Kelly, our operations person, so it was Kelly and Carly. They did all of it. You know, I could pitch in here and there on a weekend if we were, you know, really struggling. And now we have somebody else on the team to help out now that there's a little one. But that focus and what we were working toward helps you remind yourself when it's crappy, like, hey, we're doing this for a reason. I know this sucks, but if we make it happen, it feeds the overall goal, right? So now that I have that, it's my next goal. So it's my big why is twofold. It's, I want to be financially independent so that I can provide a great life for my kids. But the other part of it is I want to generate enough capital to keep doing these great investments, because these investments will allow me to achieve the financial independence and let my kids live the life I want to live. Right. Oh, by the way, I guarantee you at no other real estate company are they having that kind of conversation. Nowhere. Which is what makes us more different than anything. It's the culture of our company. It's not profit share. It's not that we're number one. It's that we have conversations like the ones that we just had. We're just asking, why is it that you're doing what you're doing, and how can we help you do it? When we call people to talk to them about our company, it's not because we just want to recruit you over here to do deals. We want you to come over here and grow a phenomenal business to change your life. Not to go too far off the path, but this company has changed my life. Came from Downey Realty to Keller Williams. I have found much more success than I ever would have found over there. I'm thinking much bigger, and the opportunities that have been afforded to me would have never have existed over there. That's why that's why I'm in the role I'm in right now. I'm passionate about helping people like Jacob realize Keller Williams is a better option for you, dude. Come on over and crush it. Right. That goes for everybody, by the way. You got to know your big why to stay motivated day to day. If you don't know why you set your goals in the first place, you're not going to know why you're striving to achieve them. When you answer your big why, you've got your answer when you wonder if you should pick up the phone one more time or not. Gary Keller says that a big why is rarely about the money itself. It's about what the money would empower you to do. What would money empower you to do? I always tell people, money is good for the good that it can do. Money is good for the good that it can do. It's more than about paying the bills. Let's look at page 11. We have a few models at Keller Williams that you can utilize to build the foundation of your business with. Economic model, the lead generation model, the budget model, and the organizational model. I'm going to plow through these models quickly, then we're going to wrap up talking about some 411 stuff. Because you can read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and many of you already have. It talks about these models. Right? Economic model. Let's examine a simplified version of it using some assumptions that will carry through the other models. Number one, 80% of the listing appointments you go on will result in a listing, and 65% of your listing agreements will result in a closing. 65% of your buyer appointments will result in buyer agreements, and 80% of those will actually close. Average sale price of a home is $250, making the average commission $7,500. We're splitting the business evenly between listings and buyers. If you don't know your actual conversion rates, that's fine. Start tracking them so that you can figure them out. Here's what Smokey Garrett had to say. I found value in tracking my numbers after I saw the strength of what knowing the numbers brought. After my first year, I started keeping numbers on everything. It basically allowed me to predict and duplicate on a very accurate basis absolutely every part of my business. I can relate. Tracking of the numbers has been eye-opening for our business. Page 12 gives you a breakdown. Lead generation, 3 hours a day, and focusing on appointments. Buyer appointments. Listing appointments. You only need roughly 35 listing appointments and roughly 35 buyer appointments per year, or roughly 3 of each per month. And if you break it down, it takes you all the way down to a total GCI of 270,000, or roughly 22,500 a month in gross commission income. And oh, by the way, that's with conversion rates that kind of suck, right? If you have a conversion rate of 65%, or 80% of the buyers that you meet, I think you can do better, because my numbers tell me you can do better. And oh, by the way, if you sign a buyer contract with us, it's like 90-some% that you're going to go pending on a home. So that will impact your numbers. That makes this even easier, right? But that's the power of knowing your numbers, and it's also the power of being a repeat referral business and not being one. You'll find that your numbers will be slightly better, typically, if you repeat referral, because people are already coming to you with the understanding that they want to work with you, versus maybe losing out on a few others because it's more competitive because they don't know who you are. Okay, lead generation model. What's the shortest path to profit? To reap the greatest profits, your lead generation plan should be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. To close 36 transactions, you must have in your database 216 Met contacts if you're only working with Mets, 1,800 have not Met contacts if you're only working with have not Mets, or some combination thereof. In working our example, we'll assume we want to split our business so that 75% of it comes from Mets and 25% comes from have not Mets. We already have 100 contacts in our Met database. All of our Mets go through an initial 8x8 marketing plan, and then they get put on a 33 touch plan. And if you look at page 14, it kind of shows you and breaks it down for you exactly how that would work. What the ratios are, what the contact numbers need to be, what touches you put them on. The only question is, will you commit to it and do the daily activities that lead to these results? Stomp on the gas. If you don't have enough contacts in your database to hit your goals, fix it. That's your first and only job right now. Jacob, what did I tell you your job was to do? Or no, you told me this with your farm. What did I tell you a minimum was?
100.
100. Did you find one yet?
Huh?
Did you find one yet?
Farm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. How many houses?
Huh?
How many houses?
Oh shoot, I don't have a house yet.
No, but you're going to find one and it's going to make sure it's at least 100, right?
Right.
Perfect. You touch each of your Mets an initial 8 times and 33 times per year. You'll touch each of your Mets 12 times per year. Each of your haven't Mets 12 times per year. Page 17, budget model. Lead with revenue. What does that mean? What does lead with revenue mean? And Leanne's not allowed to answer this one. You probably heard it many times before.
I might.
Lead with revenue is like the be-all, end-all statement that Gary Keller makes about starting your business and how you run it from a financial perspective. It's what I live my life by. Lead with revenue. What does that mean?
Don't worry about the cost.
The opposite. It means don't be spending money until you have money coming in. Don't spend money that you don't have. If you want to go and invest a ton of money in your business, make sure you've got some closings on the books, close them out, and then take some of that money, take some of that revenue from your closings and reinvest it in your business. But until you have some of that revenue, until you have closings, you need to keep doing what's low cost or no cost to get some closings on the books. Go do some opens. Go do some door knocking. Get some stuff locked down, get some money in the pipeline, and then take a portion of that money and invest it in some of the things that you want to do that cost money to drive more business. It's the strongest way to operate your business, leading with revenue, because you don't run the risk of running out of money and going out of business, especially in our industry in which it can be somewhat cyclical. Most agents struggle with the management of their cash flow, right? Leading with revenue helps mitigate that. Page 18. Here's a simple way to view the budget model. I'm not going to go too in depth with this. I think, especially at the stage that you're in right now in your career, that the budget model actually has you spending more than in reality what you should or need to be spending. Right now, you shouldn't be spending any money on salaries, unless you're at a level where Leanne is, and she's considering bringing somebody on because she has the volume in the business and the revenue to justify it. If you're spending anywhere near 25 grand on lead generation, we need to talk, because you're not at that stage yet, right? I know you're not paying $5,400 in occupancy because we don't charge anybody that much. I know you're not spending $4 grand on technology because it's part of your $25 a month you get. Maybe your phone bill is $2,700 annually. I don't know if it is. We need to talk, because we can probably find you a cheaper carrier. Supplies, education, equipment. What equipment do you have? There you go. How often do you buy one of those?
Every 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, every couple. So that's so divide that in 3. If your total expenses are near 80 grand, right now, then we can talk about leading with revenue. So that's why I say that this is interesting, but this is not an accurate reflection of what your expenses should be right now, okay? I'm even more of a stickler for, I don't like spending money in my business. Like, I was that guy back in the day when I first got in the business, and I was like, why would I pay a photographer to take pictures? Well, then I saw my pictures and realized that's why. So now I do that, but that was my mindset. I was like, uber lead with revenue. If I don't have to spend money on it, I won't. But then I realized there's more to it. Yeah, that's a dangerous philosophy to live by right there, but there's some truth to it. Lead generation is another substantial chunk. In our lead generation model example, we found that we're going to spend 14,641 on our database touches for the year. That amount is just a portion of the recommended lead generation budget, depending upon what level of business you're at. You can spend the rest of it on all of your other lead generation activities, open house materials, marketing, etc. 3 important rules to remember about additional lead generation activities. Lead with revenue. Don't attempt more than 3 strategies. Hold the money that you spend accountable to a return. Always, always, always be tracking your ROI or your return on investment. If you start something new, track it month by month. If it's something that you use regularly and you've had good results with it, at least visit it once a quarter or once every 6 months to see what your ROI on it. That being said, know some things might take 4, 5, 6 months to actually get to a point where you can expect to see a return on it. So keep that in mind as well.
I was just gonna say, in our construction business, we always would ask people when they call, someone hear of us?
Absolutely.
Because we like to we want to track.
Where are we spending money
Right.
and it's actually paying off?
And actually, it was usually better referral.
Which is free.
Yep, that was always.
You know what?
So we slowly downgraded our advertising and just worked more on the referral end
And what
because
your
we
profit
realized
margin do?
it went up.
You just described an exact aha I had in my business years ago. And that was, I said, source our business. They said, we sourced it. We're 70% repeat referral. And I said, show me my expenses. And they said, well, most of your expenses are being spent on people you don't know. And I said, if that's not the most backward thing I've ever seen in my life, I don't know what is.
Right.
So I said, stop spending this on crap leads, take a fraction of it, reinvest it in our clients, and we're going to do client appreciation parties at least once a quarter. Our repeat referral ratcheted up to 80, 90%. Our expenses came dramatically down, and our profit did this.
I'm doing the same.
That's what I like to hear, Leanne. That's awesome. Let's make it happen.
Referrals are huge. You can look at a phone book all day long, but you're going to talk to your neighbor or your friend about what they're experiencing.
Absolutely. And that's a lead that you'll be able to close like that. That's a warm lead. It's a warm referral. Thank you for sharing. Leanne, page 20, your first hire in the organizational model. Depending on your personal production limits, your first, second, possibly even your third hire will be a talented administrative help. Select this person carefully and take your time. He or she will be a big part of your business growth trajectory. Eventually, this person may be someone that you move into a team management position. Initially, however, this person must be capable of implementing the systems and tools that will take you to the next level. Oh, by the way, see the Keller Williams course, Career Select, for more information about recruiting and hiring talent. By the way, Kelly, she started as our operations person. We've got an agent on the team now. Who do you think that agent reports to?
Kelly.
They report to Kelly. And Kelly holds them accountable.
I'd love to see her steps, you know.
Let us know. Come up and visit anytime. Bruce and Beth went up just last week and sat with Kelly, and she showed them everything she does. Let us know. We'll get it on the books. Page 22 is great. It's an example of a breakdown of the numbers. Notice at the top it says net income before taxes. You can factor in all the things you need to figure out your numbers from that standpoint. Page 25, goals to action. Put your foot on the lead generation pedal and tie it there. You can use the tracker online to track your goals, your appointments, your contacts. Use whatever system works best for you. The beauty of this system, if you use it via MyKW, is that, oh, by the way, all this pulls to your trends report. So if you pull your trends report, it will show you your production, commission, everything year over year. And if you've been tracking this, it'll show this too. How many appointments did you have in July? How many appointments did you have in August? How many contacts did you make in July? How many contacts did you make in August? But you have to record them. Page 27. And note the box down here where it says you can download your 411. Utilize your 411. I'm going to teach a class just on 411s so we can get a better in-depth knowledge of how these work. But the 411 is what allows you to set goals and then do the activities weekly that align with you achieving your goals, which gives you a much better chance of actually hitting your goals, or seeing if you're off track or on track and making adjustments if you need to. Page 28, like anything in business, let me start over. Like anything in business, you actually do want to measure. If you measure the right activities, you get the desired outputs. It was not until we hired our coach and we started measuring our appointments, our contacts, our contract signed, our closing, our GCI, our pending GCI, until we started measuring and tracking that stuff, we weren't focused on it. And when we began measuring and tracking it, we became hyper-focused on it, and all of a sudden, the conversations went from, yeah, we just need to do more business, to, yeah, hey, we need to close 2 more this month. How many do we have on the pipeline for next month? Great, we're looking good there. We need to get at least 1 more. Who can we put under contract this week? Completely different types of conversations and focus and priority when you're measuring the critical aspects of your business on a regular basis. Harley has a weekly phone call with our coach. I started with her originally, and then Harley fired me from the team, and Rochester was able to thankfully take me in. So now she has a call with Jody, 30 minutes once a week. And Jody's tough, because I asked for somebody tough when I said I want to coach. She's out of Los Angeles. So Jody lives in Los Angeles, and she's from New York. About as tough as they get. Love her to death, though. If you miss a goal, don't waste time beating yourself up. Instead, take action to get back on track. Enough said right there. Come up with your weekly action plan. Jacob, it's about time blocking. Page 33, step 3, time block is how you plan your focus. It's a simply a powerful technique. How'd you do today on your time blocking?
So far, so good.
That's what I like to hear. Every single working day should have lead generation time blocked into it. Page 34. Am I really doing this? When you ask yourself that question, look back to your big why and tell yourself yes. You're not hoping that it happens, you're planning for it, you're committed to it, you will make it happen. It doesn't matter which lead generation technique you want to try on a particular day. It does matter that you practice lead generation every single workday. Keep focused on it. Remind yourself of your big why if you begin to struggle. Measuring your results. You have to stay focused and consistent over a period of time for the results to come in. Track every result to know what worked, and then stay focused on it. Which numbers should I track? Phone calls you've made, who they were to, which marketing action plans have been applied to what contacts, how many appointments you've been on, how many contracts you've taken, how many deals you've closed, exactly where the business is coming from, sourcing your business, what are your expenditures, what's the return on your investment, what are your conversion rates, where do you stand in relation to your goals. Guess what, guys? At the end of this month, we're going to be done with what?
First quarter.
The first quarter, 25% of the year done. Oh, by the way, actually it's more than that, because by the time we get to November, December, 2018 is done. The contracts you're writing in December are going to close in what year? 19. So if we don't include March this month, we're already 3 years done. Or excuse me, we're already 3 months done. By the time we're done with March, we're already 4 months done, which is what portion of the year? 1/3 of the year will be done by the end of March. Where are you in relation to your goals? Are you 1/3 of the way there? Because if you're not, it's time to double down. Oh, by the way, we're coming into the spring and summer market, so don't beat yourself up. There's plenty of opportunity. but we have to stay on track. We have to know where we are. Remember what I said before, you're at a company that is about, you know, getting out there and getting crazy, but sometimes it can help us feel a little bit of failure. There is no failure in this room. We're business people. There's only acknowledgement of where we are and where we want to be and where we can go. That's what we're focused on. Again, page 37 shows you some of the tracking tools you can utilize. So does page 38. The remaining pages, once you get past page 40, all have different business plans or blank templates you can utilize to do these calculations respective for yourself and to track everything that you're doing, to set your 401, etc. So with that being said, keep your goals in front of your eyes. Know the power of 36-12-3, 36 transactions in 12 months. The discipline is lead generation. The habit is lead generating 3 hours every workday. I have to go hop on a phone call. Anything for me?
The website of the EDGE that you keep talking about.
Yes.
Is there a class that teaches more about that?
Funny that you mentioned that. Can I borrow this for 1 second?
Yeah.
Mel is going to teach an EDGE and campaigns workshop Thursday the 8th, right here in this room from 12:30 to 2 p.m.
Perfect.
Take a calendar with you.
I have
Okay,
one,
you're
but I
welcome.
wasn't sure that that's what that was.
Yes.
It didn't say.
You're welcome to
EDGE.
come to any of them. She'll be teaching that.
Okay.
You'll notice the method to the madness is the stuff that we're training on in these classes, we're also supplementing with more in-depth training on stuff like EDGE. If we're missing something or if there's something you need more in-depth training on, just let us know and we'll add it to the training calendar. All right, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I will be around today if you need anything. Just let me know.